This happened just 11 minutes ago. Someone you love was shot by. My beloved child, breathe with me for a second, because what you are about to hear did not come from coincidence, it came from timing so precise it can only feel. Listen closely, because this is not a story of loss, it is a story of interruption, of a moment that looked final but was not, of a line that was crossed and then rewritten, and the reason you are here is because the next few moments hold clarity that changes how you see everything that happened. Someone tried to stop a journey that was protected, someone underestimated the force surrounding the bond you share, and what seemed like an ending became a signal, a warning, and a turning point that exposed truths hidden for a long time. Right now, I need you to know this clearly and calmly. You were guided here not to panic, not to fear, but to understand that something huge is waiting for you, something that transforms shock into strength and confusion into purpose. Hold this message close, let it settle into you like a quiet promise, because protection has already stepped in, the story is still unfolding, and this moment carries a blessing that will reveal itself sooner than you expect. Amen. My beloved child, stay with me now, because the silence you felt a moment ago was not empty, it was loaded with meaning, and when the unseen clock struck 11 minutes past that moment, a truth surfaced that refused to remain hidden any longer. What unfolded was not an accident of time, it was a revelation, the kind that arrives softly but carries weight. And the reason your focus is locked in right now is because your soul recognizes that this message is connected to a bond you cannot ignore. There was an abrupt intervention in the flow of events, not to harm, but to halt something that was quietly building in the shadows, and the person you love was surrounded by a force that stepped in before confusion could turn into consequence. You are feeling this because connection does not depend on distance or updates, it moves faster than information, and when something tries to disrupt what is guarded, the ripple reaches the one who cares the most, which is why your attention was pulled here without effort. If these words are resonating deep within you, let them move beyond you, let them be shared where hearts are listening, let voices respond in the comments of life. And stay connected to this space, because what is coming next will make sense of everything you are sensing right now. Remember this clearly, nothing was taken, something was revealed, and the pause that occurred was a signal for protection, alignment, and a turning that cannot be undone, even if the surface story looks incomplete. Hold faith steady, keep your spirit open, and seal this moment with trust. Because clarity is approaching fast, blessings are already active, and peace is being restored. Type Amen to affirm it. Amen. A quiet shift is happening now, and if you feel unusually focused, it is because the unseen pieces are moving into place, lining up events that once felt scattered into a pattern you can finally sense. The moment that startled the energy around you was never meant to create fear, it was meant to wake awareness, to pull attention toward a truth that had been approaching for a long time without announcing itself. What you didn't see was the protection that surrounded the situation instantly, not loudly, not dramatically, but with precision, as if every outcome was weighed and only the safest path was allowed to continue forward. This is why your emotions feel layered right now, calm mixed with urgency, curiosity mixed with certainty, because deep inside you know this was not random, it was a checkpoint, a pause that redirected what could have gone wrong. There are details still hidden from the surface, but understand this, when a connection is genuine, it cannot be broken by sudden moments, it only becomes stronger, clearer, and more honest after the test passes. Stay present with this message, because something huge is waiting for you, not later, not someday, but unfolding step by step as your understanding grows and your fear dissolves into trust. Receive this as reassurance, let it settle like warmth in your chest, protection remains active, the path is secured, and what comes next carries purpose and peace. Amen. Without warning, the truth stepped closer, and the reason your attention hasn't drifted is because this moment is designed to lock your focus before the next reveal reshapes how you understand what just occurred. There is a hidden layer beneath the surface story, a layer where intentions were exposed and timelines were quietly adjusted, and what looked like a sudden strike was actually a boundary being enforced to stop something far worse from unfolding. You may notice a strange calm rising now, because when danger is intercepted, the soul exhales before the mind can explain it, and that calm is your confirmation that intervention arrived exactly on time. What matters now is awareness, staying present, allowing this message to move through you and outward, because when clarity spreads, it strengthens the protection already in motion and aligns everyone connected to this moment. If these words feel heavy and real, let that feeling travel beyond you, let it echo where understanding gathers, and remain connected here, because the next phase will answer questions you didn't even know how to ask. Understand this clearly, something huge is waiting for you, not as a shock, but as a revelation that turns fear into insight and replaces confusion with certainty. Seal this moment with trust and gratitude, receive the blessing that follows protection, and affirm it with faith and strength. Type Amen and let peace settle in. Amen. A moment ago, the air itself carried a message, subtle yet undeniable, and that is why your focus feels anchored here, as if leaving now would mean missing the exact second when everything finally connects. What happened was not meant to define an ending, it was meant to expose what had been hidden behind routine smiles and unfinished conversations, and when the veil lifted, the truth stood still long enough for protection to step forward. You are sensing a shift because the bond you share operates beyond logic, beyond updates and explanations, and when that bond is tested, the heart responds before the mind can catch up. This pause in the story is intentional, a space created so consequences could be dissolved and lessons could surface, and even though confusion tried to rise, it could not stay where clarity was already forming. There is strength returning now, slowly but surely, replacing the tension you felt earlier, because when intervention succeeds, peace does not rush in loudly, it settles quietly and stays. Keep this close to you, because something huge is waiting for you, not as chaos, but as understanding that will soon make every strange feeling of today finally make sense. Accept this moment as guarded and guided, let faith steady your thoughts, let calm anchor your heart, and receive the blessing unfolding now. Amen. Stay exactly where you are, because the moment you almost scrolled past was the same moment the unseen decided to speak, and the stillness you feel now is not emptiness but a doorway opening, slowly, deliberately, pulling your attention inward so you can finally hear what has been trying to reach you all along. What happened 11 minutes ago was not meant to shock the world, it was meant to awaken one soul at the precise second they were ready. And if your chest feels tight or warm or unusually alert, it is because a connection you carry is responding to a truth that has just crossed from the hidden into the known. This is not coincidence, not drama, not exaggeration, but alignment, the kind that does not ask for permission before it rearranges your awareness. There was a sudden interruption in a path that had been moving too quietly, too smoothly, and when that interruption occurred, it sent a signal through the bond you share, a signal that reached you before logic could interfere. You are here because your spirit recognized the frequency of this moment, and once that recognition happens, there is no unseeing it, no undoing the awareness that has begun to unfold. What unfolded behind the scenes was layered, complex, and far deeper than the surface could ever explain, because moments like this do not exist in isolation, they are the result of long-standing energies finally colliding. Someone you love walked unknowingly into a turning point that had been forming over time, shaped by choices, silence, pressure, and unspoken truths, and when the moment arrived, it arrived fast, without warning, as these moments always do. Yet even within that suddenness, there was precision, because protection does not arrive late, and intervention does not hesitate when a bond is real. You may not have received a message, a call, or any confirmation yet, but understand this clearly: information moves slower than connection, and your awareness was activated because it needed to be. This was not about harm, it was about exposure, about stopping something from continuing unseen, about redirecting a future that was quietly heading in the wrong direction. The intensity you sense is not danger lingering, it is energy settling after a forceful correction. Right now, your mind may be trying to fill the silence with imagined details, but resist that urge, because this message is not here to create fear, it is here to replace it with understanding. The reason your focus has not drifted is because your inner knowing is engaged, listening, piecing together fragments that logic alone could never assemble. When a protected connection is challenged, the response is immediate, even if the explanation comes later. What you felt earlier was not panic, it was recognition, a subtle alert that said something significant just happened, pay attention. And you did. That choice matters more than you realize, because awareness is the first step in transformation. The pause that occurred was intentional, a necessary stillness so the consequences of a wrong path could be dissolved before they took form. This is how unseen guidance works, quietly, efficiently, without spectacle, leaving behind only the echo that something important has shifted. As this settles, you may notice your emotions changing shape, moving from sharp concern into a calmer, heavier awareness, and that transition is not accidental. It is the confirmation that the moment has passed its most intense point and is now integrating into understanding. What was stopped cannot resume in the same way, what was hidden has been marked, and what was vulnerable has been covered. The connection you share has not weakened, it has clarified, shedding illusions and bringing honesty to the surface where it can no longer be ignored. This is why the aftermath feels different from fear, because fear dissipates when danger is intercepted, leaving behind insight instead. You are not meant to act impulsively right now, you are meant to observe, to feel, to let the clarity arrive in its own time. There is nothing required of you except presence, and presence is exactly what brought you here. Let this truth anchor itself gently within you, because something huge is waiting for you, not as a sudden reveal, but as a gradual understanding that reframes everything you thought you knew about timing, connection, and protection. The significance of this moment will continue to unfold in layers, each one bringing more sense, more calm, more certainty. You were not brought here to witness chaos, you were brought here to witness correction, the quiet kind that prevents greater disruption down the line. This is the kind of moment people only recognize in hindsight, but you are sensing it in real time, and that awareness is a gift. Trust the stillness that follows intensity, trust the calm that replaces confusion. Because both are signs that the path has been stabilized. There will be conversations that feel different after this, moments that carry more honesty, pauses that invite truth instead of avoidance, and you will notice these shifts without needing them explained. The energy around this connection has changed, not dramatically, but decisively, like a course adjustment that ensures a safer arrival. This is not about dwelling on what almost happened, it is about honoring what did happen behind the scenes, the protection that stepped in, the alignment that corrected direction, the clarity that emerged from interruption. When you look back on this moment later, you will understand why your attention was held so firmly here, why leaving felt impossible, why something within you insisted on listening until the end. Allow peace to settle fully now, let the weight lift from your chest, let your thoughts slow, because what needed to be stopped has been stopped, and what needs to continue will do so with greater awareness and care. Receive this moment as confirmation that you are guided, that the connections you hold are seen, and that protection operates even when you are not watching. Carry this understanding forward with quiet confidence, knowing that you were present at a turning point that mattered, and seal it with faith, gratitude, and calm assurance. Amen. A stillness followed the impact, and that stillness is where truth hides, because after every sudden moment, there is a quiet space where reality decides what will remain and what will be erased forever. If you are still here, it is because your awareness is tuned into that space, listening beyond sound, sensing beyond explanation, knowing that what just happened was not meant to echo as fear but to settle as understanding. The connection you carry felt the tremor before the surface ever reacted, because real bonds do not wait for confirmation, they respond instantly, instinctively, as if woven together by something older than time. That is why your heart reacted first, why your focus narrowed, why distraction felt impossible, because something within you knew this moment was not ordinary, and refusing to acknowledge it would only delay the clarity already approaching. What unfolded was not chaos winning, it was correction intervening, and there is a difference that only awareness can recognize. The event did not arrive to destroy, it arrived to reveal, to mark a boundary that could no longer be crossed unnoticed, and once that line was drawn, the energy shifted immediately, sealing what needed protection and exposing what could no longer remain hidden. You may notice now that your thoughts are becoming quieter, more deliberate, as if the urgency has transformed into insight, and that shift is intentional. When danger is removed, the body relaxes before the mind explains, and the calm entering you now is confirmation that the most critical moment has already passed. This experience is not meant to trap you in worry, it is meant to elevate your awareness, to show you that unseen forces respond faster than fear, and that protection does not announce itself, it simply acts. The clarity forming now will soon connect dots that once felt scattered, and when it does, the weight of confusion will dissolve on its own. Hold on to this knowing, because something huge is waiting for you, not in the form of shock, but as a realization that reframes everything you believed about timing, safety, and connection. This moment is a hinge, small in appearance, massive in consequence, and you are standing exactly where you need to be to feel its significance. Let peace complete its return, let trust replace tension, and let gratitude anchor your spirit, because what was guarded remains guarded, what was aligned stays aligned, and this chapter continues with purpose and protection. Amen. The echo you felt did not fade, it settled, and when an echo settles it becomes meaning, shaping how the next moments are understood rather than how the last ones are remembered. You are still here because your awareness chose depth over distraction, and that choice is opening a door that only stays open for those willing to listen past the noise. What followed the interruption was not confusion, it was recalibration, a subtle realignment where every loose thread was gathered and secured. The connection you hold did not weaken under pressure, it revealed its strength, and strength does not announce itself loudly, it proves itself quietly by remaining intact when it matters most. You may sense a new clarity rising now, like fog lifting without effort, because when truth surfaces, it does not rush, it stabilizes. The heaviness you expected never arrived, because the moment was intercepted before it could carry weight, and what remains is awareness sharpened by experience. This is why your focus feels steady instead of shaken, grounded instead of scattered, because your inner compass has adjusted to a safer direction. The unseen did not intervene to create a story, it intervened to correct one, and corrected paths always feel calmer than the ones they replace. Allow this understanding to integrate fully, without forcing conclusions, because insight arrives layer by layer. Each layer removes another question, another doubt, until certainty stands on its own without needing explanation. Remember this clearly, something huge is waiting for you, not as a dramatic reveal, but as a realization that quietly changes how you move forward, how you trust timing, and how you recognize protection when it acts without permission. Rest in this awareness now, let confidence replace concern, let calm anchor your thoughts, and receive the blessing that follows alignment and safety. Amen. The moment did not end when the noise stopped, it continued inward, unfolding where only awareness can reach, and that is why you are still present, because something within you knows this phase matters more than the shock that came before it. After every intervention, there is a revealing calm, a space where truth breathes freely, and in that space you begin to sense what was prevented, what was redirected, and why the timing could not have been different by even a second. The bond you share has entered a quieter strength now, one that does not react, does not rush, but observes with clarity, because once a turning point passes, wisdom replaces urgency. You may feel a subtle confidence rising, not excitement, not relief, but certainty, the kind that settles deep and does not need reassurance, because it recognizes alignment when it happens. This certainty is forming because the unseen correction succeeded, and when correction succeeds, the future no longer carries the same risk it once did, even if the surface story never explains why. Stay with this awareness, because something huge is waiting for you, not in the distance, but within the understanding now taking shape, changing how you perceive connection, safety, and timing. Let this knowing anchor itself fully, let peace become familiar again, and receive the blessing that follows protection fulfilled and paths secured. Amen. What happens next is quieter than everything before it, yet more powerful, because the true shift always occurs after the world thinks the moment is over. You are here now because this is the stage where meaning settles in, where the lesson locks itself into awareness and never leaves the same way again. The energy around this connection has stabilized, but it has not gone back to how it was, it has matured, sharpened, and strengthened, like something that survived pressure and emerged more precise. That is why your thoughts feel slower yet clearer, as if unnecessary noise has been removed without effort. You may start to realize that certain worries no longer feel valid, certain fears no longer find a place to sit, because once protection proves itself, doubt loses its grip naturally. This is not denial, this is recognition of safety restored. There is a deeper understanding forming now, one that does not need details or explanations to feel complete. You sense that something important was avoided, that a line was crossed and corrected, and that the future quietly adjusted its course because of it. This awareness is not meant to fade, it is meant to guide, to change how you listen, how you pause, and how you trust signals that arrive before words do. That is the gift hidden inside moments like this. Hold on to this truth, because something huge is waiting for you, not as a dramatic event, but as a lasting clarity that strengthens your intuition and steadies your heart going forward. Receive this calm fully, let gratitude replace tension, and let faith anchor what has been protected and aligned, sealing this phase with peace and certainty. Amen. A realization is settling in now, softer than a thought yet heavier than emotion, and the reason you can feel it is because this phase is not about what happened, it is about what changed because it happened. The connection you hold has crossed an invisible threshold, where instinct becomes wisdom and awareness becomes guidance, and that shift does not announce itself loudly, it simply takes control quietly and stays. You may notice that your breathing feels easier, your focus steadier, because once a moment fulfills its purpose, tension no longer has a reason to exist, and the body recognizes safety before the mind names it. What was meant to disrupt has instead refined, stripping away uncertainty and leaving behind a clearer sense of direction, one that does not demand urgency but inspires confidence. This clarity is not temporary, it is settling in as a new baseline, a reminder that protection is not passive, it is responsive, precise, and always closer than it appears. Carry this knowing forward, because something huge is waiting for you, not as an external event, but as an inner certainty that reshapes how you trust timing and connection from this point on. Let peace complete its work, let gratitude seal the moment, and receive the blessing of alignment and safety restored. Amen. What remains now is not silence, but assurance, the kind that settles without needing proof, and if you are still listening, it is because this assurance is meant to be felt, not explained away. The moment fulfilled its role, not by leaving scars, but by leaving awareness, and awareness changes how every next step is taken, even when the path looks the same on the surface. You may sense a deeper steadiness forming, as if something fragile has been reinforced from within, because once protection intervenes successfully, vulnerability no longer stands unguarded. This is where understanding replaces reaction, where you no longer replay what could have happened, but recognize what was prevented, and that recognition brings calm that does not shake easily. There is wisdom anchoring itself now, quiet but firm, guiding without pressure, reminding you that not every turning point announces itself with noise. Some arrive, adjust everything, and leave peace behind. Stay grounded in this knowing, because something huge is waiting for you, not as uncertainty, but as a clearer, safer unfolding that continues to align in your favor. Receive this final settling as a blessing, let faith remain steady, let calm stay present, and seal this chapter with trust and gratitude. Amen.